Hello, welcome back. In the previous lesson, we looked at autotrophic nutrition. So this time around, we want to look at heterotrophic nutrition, sometimes called heterotropism. Yes, we already said hetero means different, and trophic to trophikos meaning feeding or nourishment. So it simply means the mode of nutrition whereby organisms obtain their food by feeding on already manufactured compounds from other organisms. Remember, these heterotrophs are unable to make their own food. So what do? They obtain food from other organisms by feeding on them or by feeding on their tissues. And these organisms include all animals, members of kingdom fungi, some insectivorous plants, and most of the bacteria belong to this form of nutrition called heterotrophic nutrition. So we remember heterotrophic nutrition as a mode of nutrition whereby organisms feed on already manufactured organic food compounds from other organisms. We have 5 major types of heterotrophic nutrition. I want to challenge you. You must have seen a mosquito sucking your blood. I don't know which mode of nutrition, which type of nutrition would that be. You have probably heard of tapeworms in the intestines of animals. You probably could have heard of the way white blood cells kill microbes that cause disease in the body, the way they fight them and eat them up. Have you ever imagined how mushrooms feed, or bread molds? When bread mold grows in the bread. Have you ever seen the white birds called egrets that move with animals, with cows when you are grazing? They come and land on the back of the cow and pick the ticks. Do you know what form of nutrition would that be? Well, we are going to answer those questions. So the first type of heterotrophic nutrition is called parasitism. Yes, and this is a feeding association between two living organisms of different species, in which one organism, called a parasite, obtains food and shelter from another organism called the host, which instead suffers injury and harm. So in this form of nutrition, the parasite feeds on another organism, but does not only end at feeding, it also causes harm. It harms that organism called the host. So parasitism, one organism called a parasite feeds or obtains food from another organism, but also causes injury and harm to that organism. For example, we have a tapeworm in the gut of man, in the digestive system of man, or digestive system of pigs. A tapeworm, which one is a parasite here? A tapeworm or man? Well, I'm seeing that most of you are suggesting that the tapeworm. Correct. The tapeworm is the parasite and man is the host. A cow and the tick. A tick and a cow. Which one is a parasite? Which one is a host? Well, I can see that somebody is saying a tick is a parasite. Correct. And a cow is a host. And then a bedbug and man. A bedbug is a parasite and man is the host. So those are some of the examples of parasitic kind of nutrition. Thank you. The second one is phagocytosis. I want you to pronounce together with me, phagocytosis. Good. That is the second type of heterotrophic nutrition that we are going to look at. And we are saying this is the process of nutrition where simple cells or unicellular organisms, unicellular organisms are single-celled organisms, is a process of nutrition where simple cells or unicellular organisms engulf solid food particles. Now, these organisms that perform phagocytosis are single-celled organisms. And how do they feed? They engulf the food particles. You remember engulfing in Amoeba in our senior 1 classification, feeding an Amoeba. Amoeba engulfs using pseudopodia, engulfs the food and then digests it and absorbs the nutrients. The same applies to the white blood cells. That is how they destroy the pathogens that cause disease. Yes, they engulf them and destroy them. Good. So far we have looked at two types of heterotrophic nutrition. We have looked at parasitism and phagocytosis. Who can guess? Who can tell us the third one? Well, the third one is saprophytic nutrition, sometimes called saprotrophic nutrition. The third form of heterotrophic nutrition is called saprophytic. Now, this kind of nutrition is where an organism feeds on a dead, decaying matter. Yes, in saprophytic nutrition, organisms feed on dead, decaying matter, whereby they absorb solutions from this dead, decaying matter and use them as nutrients. Yes, what happens is that these saprotrophs secrete enzymes, and those enzymes digest the dead, decaying matter externally, and then after which they absorb the nutrients or the products of digestion there and then use them as nutrients. So these saprotrophs do not have chlorophyll and they cannot make their own food. That's why they resort to feeding on dead, decaying matter. And this include majorly members of kingdom fungi, including mushrooms, muco, the rhizopus, the common bread mold, and others. So, members, what is saprophytic nutrition? It is a mode of nutrition or a type of nutrition, heterotrophic nutrition, where organisms feed on a dead and a decaying matter. You probably could have seen bread mold. It grows from decaying or expired bread. Great. And then we move to our fourth type of heterotrophic nutrition. And we combine these two together since they are more of the same. Symbiosis and mutualism or stroke mutualism. So this is a nutritional relationship between two organisms of different species where both organisms benefit. So the most important thing we must learn from this kind of relationship of nutrition is that there are two organisms involved, but all of them benefit. But it is majorly one organism that benefits nutritionally. Majorly one organism that benefits what? Nutritionally. But largely all the two organisms benefit from the existence of the other. Examples include fungi and algae in an association called lichen. You must have seen lichens in rocks, in stones, or on the backs of trees. Those lichens there is a fungus and an algae. A fungus provides anchorage and support to the algae, and then the algae carries out photosynthesis and manufactures food for both of them. So the algae manufactures food for both of them, and then the fungus provides support but also absorbs water and nutrients, which are raw materials for photosynthesis. So all of them benefit from each other. And then we have an association between the leguminous plants and the rhizobium bacteria, what we call the nitrogen fixing bacteria. This one is found in the root nodules. So the root nodules provide an anchorage and nutrition to the rhizobium bacteria. And then in return, the rhizobium bacteria converts atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates. It participates in the process of nitrification, the conversion of nitrogen or nitrogenous compounds into nitrates. And those nitrates are absorbed by the leguminous plants and used as nutrients for production of plant proteins. Like if you eat beans, groundnuts, and so on, they come from nitrates because they contain nitrogen. Great. And then we have protozoa and ruminants. In the digestive system of the ruminants are animals that chew the cud, the cows, the goats, the sheep, and so on. Those organisms do not have the capacity of secreting an enzyme called cellulase. So they associate with the protozoa. Now these protozoa are found in their digestive tracts, and the role of the protozoa is to secrete enzyme cellulase. And this enzyme cellulase is used by the ruminants to digest cellulose, which is found in the vegetation that they are eating, the leaves and the grass and so on. So that association is good. The protozoa benefits because it obtains protection and nutrients from the animal, from the cow or goat. And then the goat or the cow, the ruminants, benefit because the protozoa produces cellulase, which they use for digesting cellulose. So it's a beautiful association where both organisms benefit. Then we have another one, the egrets, the white egrets, those are birds, and the cow. This is a good association. If you have ever grazed the cattle, you realize that you reach somewhere and there are some birds which come, the white birds. They land on the backs of these animals you are grazing. And when they land, the animals are welcoming. They don't even chase them. Those birds come to pick ticks from the skin of the animal, of the cow. You may even find sometimes the cow can even lie down and allow the bird to pick the ticks, even from the ear, from the head, from the horn, everywhere, from the tail. So the white egrets are picking the ticks, and those are the food for them. They are benefiting nutritionally. But the cow is also benefiting because it's losing the parasites. The parasites are being removed. That is why the two animals benefit. And the association is a very beautiful association between the two. And then and many other associations of the kind. I want to challenge you to suggest any other association of the kind. So that kind of nutrition is called symbiosis or mutualism, where two organisms